Now for number 4, they're giving us 65,000 square millimeters, and they're wanting us to change it to square decimeters. These are, let me write it out, decimeters squared, and this, you know, is millimeters squared. Now, what's up with the 2 power thing? What's up with the square unit thing? Well, I want to make sure you're clear on that first off before we dive into the rest of the problem. It means area. So it's like buying carpeting or something. When you buy carpeting, you buy it in squares. You buy like 1 square foot of carpeting. What is a square foot of carpeting? Well, it would be an actual square. Let me show you. No, that is a terrible square. It's a little bit, it still doesn't look like much like a square. There, that's better. Okay, so it's 1 foot on this side and 1 foot on that side. It's an actual square. That is 1 square foot right there. It's a foot by foot square. So when you buy carpeting, you buy it in square feet, which literally means square feet, you know, squares that are foot by foot squares. How many of those do you need to carpet your front room or whatever? So that's what area is. So that's what we're talking about here. When they say down here that there's 65,000 square millimeters, what they mean is they've got all these tiny little things that are 1 millimeter. Millimeters are very tiny. 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. And they've got a whole bunch of them. In fact, they've got, you know, 65,000 of them. I'm not going to draw 65,000 of them, but, you know, I'm going to go dot, dot, dot. They just keep going. There's 65,000 millimeter by millimeter squares. And they're asking us, well, how many square decimeters is that? Now, decimeters are a lot bigger. Square decimeters. In fact, actually, they're 100 times bigger. Is that true? I'm not sure that's yeah, they're way bigger. I can't off the top of my head. I don't know. Square millimeters to decimeters. They're 100 in each dimension, so they're actually 10,000 times bigger. They're 10,000 little square millimeters fit in 1 square decimeter. Anyway, I'll tell you why in a second. It's because if you look at the chart right here, basically we're going from square millimeters to square decimeters. So square millimeters is right here. Millimeters is right here. It's 2 jumps back to get to decimeters. 2 jumps back. So I'll get to that in just a second. Anyway, the point is there's a whole bunch of little millimeters that can fit in a square decimeter. So how do we do the conversion? Well, again, we're going from millimeters to decimeters. And what you do for the second power, you have to, what do? You double the number of jumps from the chart, from the metric chart. From the metric chart. So you double the number of jumps. When you have a second part, you double the number of jumps from the metric chart. So let's go look at the metric chart. Again, we're going from square millimeters to square decimeters, not deca, but decimeters. Square millimeters to decimeters. So and I shown it right here. Millimeters to decimeters. It's 2 jumps to the left. To go from millimeters back to decimeters, 2 jumps to the left. So millimeters to decimeters, 2 jumps up. So let me write that down here for us. So 2 jumps left times 2, right? Because the chart, the metric chart says 2 jumps up, but then you double it. So that's going to equal 4 jumps left. See what I did there? So I just went to the chart. The chart said 2 jumps left, but then I double it because we have square units, right? These are squares. These are 2-dimensional. In other words, it's not just millimeters in one direction, it's millimeters in two directions, millimeters by millimeters. And we're converting not just to decimeters in one direction, but decimeters by decimeters, decimeters in two directions. So you double whatever you get from the metric chart when there's a second power, when it's squares, square units. So 2 jumps left from the metric chart times 2, you double it, 4 jumps to the left. So I take that 65,000 number, whose decimal was originally right there, and I go 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. 6.5. You don't need to put the zeros at the back. You could, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't change anything, they're just zeros. So it's 6.5 square decimeters. So you see how that worked? From the metric chart, it was 2 jumps left from the metric chart, but then I doubled it because these are square units. So it ends up being 4 jumps to the left. 6.5 square decimeters is the answer.